Humanity since the beginning of time has been a two-sided coin. We raise each other up and we tear each other down. Have you ever wondered what the lowest of the low can look like? What acts will make your skin lurch? A woman who turned her victims into treats. A man who put his mother's head in a pot. A woman who massacred her family. And a man who ate his child victims. We call these cardinal sins. Hello, and welcome to Cardinal Sins, a deep dive into the truly despicable. I'm your host, Bryn Fawn.
And I'm AJ Payro.
Thank you for joining us. Today, we're traveling to Correggio, Italy, to discuss the first recorded female serial killer in Italy. Leonarda Cianciulli had a troubled upbringing, just like many other killers. Before she had reached adulthood, she had attempted to kill herself twice. She had 14 children, but 10 died before maturity. We're going to the early 1900s, man. So only 4 lived. And her favorite kid was Giuseppe, her son. But she adored him. Absolutely would kill for him.
And she did.
It's the late 1930s. And there's this big thing called World War II. And Giuseppe was a little bit of a nationalist. He enlisted into the military. And so Leonarda did not like that. She was actually extremely superstitious. There's varying reports. She may have been a tarot reader, also a palm reader, but either way, she was trusted and beloved in her community and was seen as a guiding elder figure.
I mean, I don't blame her for being superstitious. What, you said 10 out of her 14 children die?
Yes. And actually, before she committed these murders, she did see a fortune teller who said, in one hand, I see jail, in other, I see an asylum. And that fortune teller would come out to be correct. She was so superstitious with her son going into, the war, that she believed to keep her son safe, she had to make human sacrifices.
And would you agree to that conclusion?
I don't know. You want to call her up?
And I would, too.
Her first murder happened in 1939. It was Faustina Setti, was her first and oldest victim out of all 3. Faustina was a lonely woman and went to Leonarda for guidance. She wanted her to find her a husband. Leonarda said, I have great news. I have a man just for you, and Paolo. But wait. Write a bunch of letters to your friends and family, but don't mail them yet. I'll take care of that, Just wait a minute, wait until you get to Paolo to mail them out, but make sure the postage is on there. It's all good. So then Faustina's like, oh my God, thank you so much, Leonarda. Yeah. And she comes back right before she's about to leave, and that sealed her fate. Leonarda offers her a celebratory glass of wine. Cheers.
She did the old poison thing.
Yes, she drugged Faustina. So Faustina falls unconscious, and Leonarda gets her axe and drags the body into a wardrobe and cuts her up into smaller pieces. She drains the blood into a basin, too. And then in her memoir, she describes what she did to the body.
She wrote a memoir?
Yes.
From prison?
Yes. She would dry the blood and grind the bones down into flour and turn them into tea cakes, which she would then feed to her future victims, her son, and her neighbors.
Come through, Sweeney Todd.
As she said in her memoir,
I threw the pieces into a pot and added 7 kilos of caustic soda, which I had bought to make soap, and I stirred the whole mixture until the pieces dissolved in a thick, dark mush that I poured into several buckets. And I emptied into a nearby septic tank. As for the blood in the basin, I waited until it had coagulated, dried it in the oven, ground it, and mixed it with flour, sugar, chocolate, milk, and eggs, as well as a bit of margarine, kneading all the ingredients together. I made lots of crunchy tea cakes and served them to the ladies who came to visit, though Giuseppe and I also ate them. I want to know if Giuseppe knew.
I believe so. So would you eat them?
Next question.
You're not even a little curious?
I'm going to plead the fifth.
What I find interesting is she describes them as crunchy. Like,
I hate that.
do you mean like cracker? Like, what kind of tea cakes we talking?
Clearly you didn't grind the bones down enough, because crunchy?
You think the blood made it all nice and airy?
Yeah, have you ever heard of, like, blood sausage?
No.
Well, carrying on.
Okay. Also, Faustina was so thankful. You know, she left, had her mail sent back home. Family was a little worried, but, you know, their daughter going off, living their life, sister, whatever. Leonarda got her life savings, which was about $300 today, give or take. Not a lot of money. Was then. You know, the Depression hadn't happened yet.
College students, you'll relate to that.
But that wasn't enough. One sacrifice was not enough. Her son needed more.
And again, who is telling her this?
I don't know.
Like, she never mentions it in the memoir. She's just like, I just knew in my heart.
In her heart of hearts. Her next victim was Francesca Soavi. Francesca was also lonely, just like Faustina. She wanted something new, something fresh. She came to Leonarda asking for a new job.
Okay.
And Leonarda told her, great news! I have a teaching job for you abroad. And before you go, you should tell your family. Write a lot of letters, telling them where you're going. Do you want to know what happened next?
Did she drug her?
Yeah, she came back, drugged her with wine.
Same old rigmarole.
Yeah, also cut her up, turned her into more tea cakes. Do you think 2 is enough? Would you stop at 2?
Would I stop at 2? If there's a little voice in my head saying, yeah, kill another one. I would do it.
That also was not enough for her. She needed to protect her son, her favorite child, need I remind. Her final victim was Virginia Cacioppo. Virginia was a former opera singer, but she was tired of her life. She wanted the hustle and bustle of city life. So she paid Leonarda 50,000 lire to find her a job in the big city.
She's an opera singer. She can't just, like, ask her manager.
You know, she did her song and dance, cut her up, turned her into tea cakes, but also, in her memoir, she wrote, Cacioppo ended up in the pot like the other 2. Her flesh was fat and white. When it had melted, I added a bottle of cologne, and after a long time on the boil, I was able to make some most acceptable creamy soap. I gave bars to neighbors and acquaintances. The cakes, too, were better. That woman was really sweet. Sadly, Virginia was not actually as lonely as the other 2 victims. A lot of people conclude that Leonarda got away with it the first 2 times because their families didn't care as much. They were lonely. But I think in the modern times, with our, modern lens, I think we often forget to think how connected we are today. Yeah. All they had then was like snail mail.
It's hard to go missing now. It's very hard to go missing nowadays.
Leonarda's undoing was Virginia's sister-in-law. She was frantic when Virginia went missing. In fact, she saw Virginia with Leonarda the day she left, but never saw her leave. She notified the police. The police found the murder weapons, blood, and what remained of the bodies in her home.
She never cleaned up?
Not really, no. Leonarda, however, maintained her innocence. She said she didn't do it. Yes, I talked to those women. I didn't do it, man.
The murder weapon, the blood's in my home, but...
The pot.
I didn't put that there.
Well, she did until the police said they would arrest her son, Giuseppe. Our man, Giuseppe, for killing 3 women. Then she admitted guilt. The trial was quick, only lasting 3 days. She was found guilty and sentenced to 33 years. 30 years in prison, 3 in asylum. I told you the tarot reader would be correct. Leonarda died in 1970, being 76 years old. Her body was given back to her family to be buried. However, the murder weapons, including the pot, now stand in the Criminology Museum in Rome.
That's so cool.
So you can, in theory, think about putting someone in the pot. You can't touch the pot. It's in a glass.
You can think about it, though.
Yes.
And that's free.
Yeah. Thinking is free, unlike what they tell you.
And the cops can't stop you.
What did we learn today?
Trust the tarot readers. Don't trust Grandma.
Listen to somebody when they tell you to kill someone? If they're in your head?
The jury's still out on that one.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us this week with Cardinal Sins. Remember to read the full, in-depth article at cardinalpointsonline.com. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.